Hello and welcome to my beginner's guide to the Forgotten NPC faction, which is included in the Revelations DLC that is coming out on November 19th. Full disclaimer, I got a press copy of Revelations free of charge from the publishers, and I just wanted to make that crystal clear at the top of the video, just to make sure I don't have any problems in the future trying to get keys and things of that nature. I really like that Paradox is willing to do that with smaller channels like mine, because it really does help bring attention to all the other little videos that I've been working on. For example, I made a different video for each of the NPC factions that are currently in the game, and this one should get some traffic. It should promote my other videos and get some traffic moving towards those other ones. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please go check out the other ones. They are in the same format, just basically breaking down all of the cool little things that you can buy off of an NPC faction. Today we'll be looking at all of the units like this Golem, and then we'll look at the mods like this one right here, and as well as those things, we'll look at, yes, this Doctrine here and this operation. This NPC faction is special because it has an operation. None of the other ones have anything quite like that. The first unit we're going to talk about is the Forgotten Desolate, which is very similar to a Heriter unit, the Heriter Drained. They are both summoned in using a tactical operation. Let's see what they're called. We have Condemned to Drained over here, which is quite nice, reducing morale and making it easier to do this new type of damage. I think it's called entropy damage. And this one over here makes it so that you get a pretty awesome unit. I think the Desolate is slightly better than the Drained, at least when you first get them it is. That's why it costs more, and it doesn't have like a secondary effect when it goes through. Condemned units, like when this is successful, are a lot easier to kill off and less likely to do damage. These ones just become like a really, really good unit. It also costs more, costs 20 more energy, 80 energy instead of 60 energy, and twice as many tactical operations points. But I think that really does make sense when you break down the differences between their attacks and all their stats, and even the way they level up. This guy right here, he has Resurgence. The other one does not. So if you win a fight, he comes back. Incredibly useful skill. That's probably my favorite skill from Age of Wonders 3, and I like how much they have incorporated that into Planetfall. I think it makes the game a lot more interesting. Because he is a melee unit and the other one is not, it almost is necessary that he has something like this to make it so that when he dies, it's not so bad. It's kind of cool that this unit can be thrown away and doing melee damage, and if you win, not a big deal. I think, yeah, he heals when he kills a unit. The other one heals whenever he hits a unit. That one was a repeating attack. This one is a range of 5. It's kind of like the trencher attack. It takes a single action, so if you get staggered, you can still move forward and use a pretty powerful ranged attack. If you get some essence charges, you can do more damage. This guy can have 2 stacks because he is limited down here by that. I think this unit just by default has more charges it can hold. It can have 6, so it can get plus 60% damage. This guy right here is where we got one of those charges that was on there, our big Eater of the Dead. It makes these units weaker, and it looks like it can be applied up to 5 times, making a unit do 50% damage. You combine that with the reduced morale, it's a great way to make scary units useless. So yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to show off with this unit, and now we're ready to condemn him. No, not condemn. We're going to rot. We're going to use this one to get ourselves a new Desolate. If I got a what's it called? drained, he would have an action point here, and I could move him around. It looks like even though this guy doesn't have an action point, I can still put him in defensive mode. So he can't attack if he was right next to a unit on this turn, but he can actually go into defensive mode. That's pretty nice, something I actually was not expecting. I think there are quite a bit more differences that I wanted to highlight here. Yeah, so when a drained levels up, they get a little bit more HP and damage, which is different than the Desolate. They're more like a normal unit when they level up. They get a little bit of HP. At veteran rank, they get a little bit more hit chance, and at prime rank, they get a pretty normal skill. This one gets evasion and mind possession. Pretty awesome. I love mind possession. I will check that is in the Imperial Archives in a second. I just want to show off that when this guy levels up, it's pretty normal. He can ignore Overwatch. That's nice for a melee unit. But I still prefer the benefits that the drained get. I think it's designed that way so that the drained kind of becomes more useful in the later game. There's some text associated with it so that they can have more HP and cool things like that. This unit starts off with a little bit more HP than the drained. It looks like 5 more, and it also has an extra point of defense or shields. The other one has 1 armor and 0 shields. He has a little bit more. And let's see, is there anything I forgot here? He can carry up to 2 charges. That's where it says that. That's good to know. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, he can blow up. So because he has resurgence, that isn't that terrible. He can come back after the fight. So maybe you want to run him forward into a place where they've gathered a lot of units and just blow them up. I typically don't like doing that. I think having more units on the field is better than less. But it is cool that he has an option. He doesn't have to use his primary attack. He can kind of run forward like the other one does, and instead of shooting, he can blow up and still do a decent chunk of damage. I wonder if it says on this guy something about how he can carry up to 6 charges. Yeah, see, I don't see. Ah, here we go. It does say that. That's cool, and he heals more when he kills somebody. This one doesn't get anything special like that. He gets more XP, so that is different between the other one. I don't think I saw anything like that on that unit. Yeah, that's the differences. Oh, I did want to look up something. Mind control. Mind possession? And then we can move on to the next unit. I don't see it in here. But I have seen how it works. It basically lets you take over a unit, and I think if you keep that unit alive, then the drained unit transforms into that unit. And I think with certain techs, I can allow you to steal tier 3 units. I don't believe it works on heroes and some other things, but yeah, this unit, pretty cool. I like both of them, honestly. They're both pretty darn cool. The next unit we're going to talk about is the Forgotten Golem, which is a pretty simple unit. It doesn't have too many crazy gimmicks going on it like the Desolate or the Drained. Like the Drained, he only needs a single action to use his primary attack, so you can move him forward, kind of like a Trencher or one of the Drained, really far forward, use your last action point doing some damage, maybe flanking an enemy, or 2. Actually, this doesn't hit 2 units. This attack can hit 2 units, and it requires a full action, so you can't move forward and flank multiple units, but you can move forward and flank a unit. Probably, if you're going to do that, you'd want to make it a high priority target, maybe a hero or a high tier unit. I do really like this AoE. It looks like it requires, yes, a essence charge, so you'd want to use this, get the energy drain to apply, and then you can use a pretty powerful AoE on a couple units. maybe even applying the entropic decay. I think that makes it so that they're more likely to take damage from this damage channel. It doesn't say there, so I will actually search that to see if we can find it. Yeah. They take a little bit of damage. It's kind of like burning, and it's easier for this damage to do more damage. So I love that skill. It's a pretty awesome skill. This one doesn't create decay. This one does. It can stagger an enemy. This guy comes with stagger resistance. Really, really nice if you're going to be moving him forward and trying to do some flanking. Let's see. Yeah, he has 3 armor, 40 HP. Is pretty normal for a tier 2 unit. When he gets his max rank, he'll get shrug off, which will make it harder for other people to apply things like entropic decay or energy drain. All of those things that are a strength challenge will be a little bit harder to get to go through. Don't think I mentioned this earlier. When he kills a unit, he heals himself a little bit. And considering his HP pool isn't too big and he's got a decent amount of armor, that could be quite nice, quite powerful. The next unit we're going to talk about, the Forgotten Serbian, is another melee unit, but he doesn't have too much defense. He comes with a little bit more HP than the Golem, but 1 less point of armor, which makes him somewhat squishy for a tier 2 melee. He's not the squishiest, but I've had a little bit of trouble trying to use this unit because he does get killed off or weakened pretty darn quickly. I do like how much options he has. The ability to choose between 3 attacks is pretty special, pretty rare. He is probably supposed to be kind of squishy, kind of easy to kill off, but capable of a lot of damage. This right here is yeah, it's pretty standard for the other Forgotten units. He can stagger a unit, he can apply energy drain. If he kills a unit, he heals himself. This is nice. It doesn't require a little bit of essence to use its secondary attack, which has some range, a little bit of range, 3 versus having to be right next to a unit. It's not repeating. So it's supposed to be your safe option that does apply maybe a little bit of energy drain. Who doesn't like energy drain? If you need some charges, I guess this is how you start that going, and then you can use it on this attack, or you can use it just to boost your raw damage. This is an AoE, which doesn't affect too many hexes, but I guess it's not too expensive. I don't know if I'd actually spend points on that. Being able to apply the decay after you've applied drain could be nice, but I think there are other units that are better at doing that. So if you've got an option of going with a different Forgotten unit, maybe do that. Maybe even just go with the tier 1 Desolate, because they have Resurgence. If this guy dies, he's gone. If a Desolate dies, you know, not a big deal. I guess you spend influence on these guys, and you have to spend tactical operation points, and you have to strategically plan for it. So yeah, I'm sure the Desolate's slightly better, but doesn't mean this guy doesn't have its place in an army. When he reaches prime rank, he ignores Overwatch. Yep, that makes sense. He's a melee unit. Why wouldn't he? The next unit we're going to talk about is the Forgotten Shattered Arc, which is actually very similar to another Heriter unit, kind of like how the Desolate was very similar to the Drained. The Shattered Arc is very similar to the Quintessence Arc, which I actually have brought into the combat. I restarted the combat and brought this guy over so we could kind of look and compare at everything without jumping through our Imperial archives. This guy, he is designed to link and attack enemy units, and the other one is designed to link and support ally units. This guy can link with guys like that, and then boost their damage or heal them. Pretty useful defensive stuff, or support skills. This guy, he can do some more direct damage to the enemy. Now that I've got a little communion with the enemy, next turn I can trigger this from a distance of 9 whole tiles away. I can do a lot of very useful damage. I get to apply entropic decay up to 4 times with this skill every other turn. It's got a cooldown of 1 turn, so that's amazing. You have to get in at a distance of 7 to get started, but that's pretty far away. As you saw, I was able to do that from pretty far away. He's got those 2 attack skills, whereas this guy's only got the 1. It does 14 damage, plus a little bit more damage for every charge he has, so pretty darn different. This guy doesn't do more damage per charge that he has. He can have 4 charges and does something pretty cool. Every time he has a charge, he adds a little bit of extra defense, it looks like, right? He can carry up to when it kills a unit, it consumes the thingy. This unit and offer. They gain 1 bit of shields for everything a charge he has. He's got no charges, so no extra shields. He'd need to do some skills to get that going. Either that, or I could have connected him to that guy, and I think that would have given him a charge. No, you get, I think that doesn't send charges, it just allows you to support them with those cool little skills. So yeah, let's start going through the other skills that this guy has. He can use an essence charge to heal a friendly unit and make it harder for them to take damage. It's kind of okay. The other unit's better at supporting friendly units with heals, so I wouldn't use this if I had the option to do damage. I'd probably go for damage. Yeah, it's just saying right here that he's connected to somebody, so we can do some cool things with it. Is that really everything here? Yeah. You can do a lot of stacks like that. When you, as soon as you commune with somebody, they get energy drain and some decay on them, or at least there's an 8 strength chance that they will get those. Wait, no, that's not what it's saying. It's saying they'll take 8 damage and they'll gain 1 of those 2 things at the start of their turn. So I guess it's kind of random, but one of them will go through. That's pretty cool. That's pretty useful. Allows units that are from this expansion, the Heritors and the Forgotten, to do a lot more damage. If you got Forgotten and Heritor units, that's quite nice. Quite a nice skill. When he gets to prime rank, he gets Shrug Off. Kind of cool, but I think the other unit that we were just looking at, the Quintessence one, he gets range. I love it when you get extra range. I think that's really interesting that this guy can attack from 7 tiles away, or maybe 8 once he gets to prime rank, and this guy can attack from 9 away, but only after he is got a corrupt whatchamacallit, corrupt communion. So yeah, they're both pretty good at distance, but I'd say the other one is slightly better, maybe at staying really far away and doing damage from the back lane. This guy starts with 55 HP, 2 armor, 2 shields. How does that compare to this one? I've forgotten already. Ooh, he has a little bit more armor. He starts with 40. So yeah, he's tankier. He can come further forward. He can get closer. It's not a big deal that he can't attack from 8 tiles away without a communion or anything like that. The last unit we're going to talk about here today is the Forgotten Eater of the Dead, which, as the name implies, is supposed to kill off units. A lot of his skills, like this one here, have Devourer of the Dead, which allows them to get 12 HP when they kill a unit and to gain 2 essence charges. So yeah, if you've got enemies that are close to death, I would recommend using this unit to kill them off. Sometimes it's not worth sending this unit across the map to do that, but getting those essence charges allows this guy to use this skill a little bit earlier. If you've got 6 charges, you can attack all enemies on the battlefield with 12 points of this special damage type, which is pretty hard to resist. So yeah, if you can do this in those larger battles, that's incredibly useful. I don't know if it's worth using all 6 of your charges on those smaller battles. If it's like 6 units against 6 units, maybe don't do that. Maybe use the charges to boost your stats. Where is it? Essence Gorger. Yeah, here we go. So each point gives this guy a little bit more critical hit chance. So you can get up to plus 30% with just the Essence Gorger, and then you got morale and other little things that can increase your critical hit chance. So yeah, if you can crit with this special damage channel, you're probably going to get a kill. Like, that seems pretty likely. This is a bit of an AoE, which can give you an essence charge. If there's a corpse in the area that you teleport to, you get an essence charge. You teleport to an area, and everything within a 2 hex radius is going to take a little bit of damage. 9 points of damage really isn't that useful. If it can get you a kill, that sounds really, really nice, and you can spread the damage around a couple other units. But I think if you can use this, you should. They're both single actions, so yeah, you can do a lot of movement and then use them. This is nice for closing the distance and maybe getting your Eater of the Dead in the back lines of your enemy, causing a little bit of chaos. Let's see, is there anything else here? These skills are pretty straightforward. This one just does a lot of damage, can't apply decay for 3 turns. Yeah. Pretty standard stuff. Yes, Ruthless Killer. When he kills a unit, he can recover 1 action point once per turn. So yeah, it'd be a pretty good way to attack again. If you kill another unit, then you could like Essence Slam into somebody, kill a unit, and then use Essence Crush to maybe kill a secondary unit, and that would give you 4 points of essence right there, allowing you to use punishment a little bit quicker. If, say that's what you wanted to use your points on. Once again, I don't know if it's necessarily worth it. I do like that he starts with 70 HP, 4 armor, and 2 shields. I believe that's quite defensive compared to some of the other NPCs, and I like it when my tier 4 units have that kind of survivability on the board, especially since this guy seems to be running around trying to get double attacks. Basically, you kill something, get a point back, kill another thing. Yeah, pretty cool. When he gets to prime rank, he gets Shrug Off. Kind of lackluster. I mean, resisting effects is probably a good thing in the late game, but I've never really found it to be terribly useful. I think I get more value out of range than Shrug Off, but there seems to be a lot of units with Shrug Off in this expansion pack, so it could be they're trying to emphasize the status effects a little bit more. Oh, it's also stagger resistant, so that's kind of cool. In order to look at the mods that the Forgotten NPC faction has to offer, I restarted this combat, but with the mods that I can apply to each of the Forgotten units applied, and a new unit, a Huntress. With the Huntress, you can actually apply all 4 of the mods, which means you're going to have to choose 3 out of the 4 and leave out 1 of them. With this one, I decided to leave out the Entropic Chaos Inducer. It's up to you, really. The other options are, I think, reasonable options, but you can't apply the Corrupt carnation matrix to your Forgotten units. It says so right in the description. This mod can only be applied to non-mindless, non-Forgotten units, and it basically allows them to use essence the way the Forgotten do. When this unit kills another unit, it can heal a little bit, and it gains an essence charge, which can be used to boost your damage a little bit, or to trigger an ability. If you put the Forgotten Essence Siphon on here, then you can use a essence to apply a little bit of decay, do a lot of damage at a range of 5, also bypassing all shields. Very, very nice. I like it when you can bypass shields, because especially at a range, most of the time if you're going to bypass shields, you're doing it through melee, but this skill, or rather this mod, and this mod allow you to bypass shields in an entirely new way. This one will allow you to do it at a range, very, very nice, and this one will allow you to do it using a skill at a range. This applies to all of your things. Anything that's a range attack will now bypass shields. This mod allows you to do it with one skill and one skill only. So yeah, weigh those two things against one another when you're considering the mods that you want to apply. Maybe you don't want two things that bypass shields. Maybe you think you only need one, and you'd prefer to have this guy right here, which applies to random debuffs when you use an entropic attack. That will apply to his simple attacks over here, and also what's it called? Decay Surge, the thing that we added. If you look in there, it says you got Entropic Chaos. The 2 random debuffs is actually coming from this mod right here. And we can check that by checking our Fergana Essence Siphon on our Huntress. They won't have the Entropic Chaos listed here. Yeah, it's just got the decay. So, kind of complicated. But these two things are working with each other, and if I applied both of them to my Huntress and left out this one, that seems like a pretty good bit of synergy. But as I was saying earlier, it's up to you and the way you want to build out your army. The last thing we're going to talk about here is the Doctrine, which you can get from the Forgotten NPC faction, which is Forgotten Depths, and that allows your knowledge exploitation sectors to provide a little bit more research. While this doctrine may not be terribly useful in the late game, I think it's incredibly useful in the early game and the mid game. If you can get this before turn 30, you're going to really boost your knowledge income, especially if you have a lot of cities with these research exploitations, because at the beginning you only get like 5 research out of it, and boosting that up to 15, pretty significant. If you can do that in 2 or 3 locations, you're gonna have a pretty massive advantage, at least in terms of research. But when you compare it to other things that give you energy, I think the Spacer Doctrine gives you energy, and the Growth Doctrine gives you food. Those have a little bit more value in the late game, so if it's like turn 50 or 40 or something like that, I wouldn't invest the influence in getting the Doctrine and the energy and operation points on enacting it. And yeah, that's everything I wanted to talk about in regards to this Forgotten NPC faction. I had a lot of fun putting this together, and I'm thinking that we'll be doing a couple more beginner's guides on my channel. I had been doing one a week after the release of Planetfall, but I am not ready to set a strict schedule for more beginner's guides. I don't know if I've got enough videos researched or notes on enough videos to put together too many videos, but I know I have at least 4 that I could put out, and I'll probably release the next one soon after the game comes out. or rather the DLC, the Revelations DLC comes out, you may even see another one like within 24 hours of this one being posted. So keep an eye out. Hope to see you around for the next one, and have a good one.